Welcome back to Straight Facts on Tuesday, a little earlier than usual, but it's a football day. It's an actual football day. It's back. So lots for us to all prepare for later. So we're live a little earlier than usual. I'm joined by Dan Potts and, of course, LB. How are you, gentlemen?
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, sun is shining, man. Sun is shining. Football is back. It's been a nice break. Arsenal haven't stressed me the last couple of weekends. Let's see what they do this evening.
Are you playing?
Fulham at home.
Easy.
Are you even bothered about that?
Easy.
Not really, but I'm trying to because of what I do. It's trying to be up there.
Oh, yeah,
come on. You know what I mean? Come on. It's optimistic and all that out here.
Imagine if you were just like, nah, I don't care, whatever. But
yeah, come on, mate. Play the game, LB. Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm just, to be fair, I'm the same with City. I'm just like, I'm so sort of like, to be fair, we are obviously in a top 5 race. So we actually have to try and win games, but like, I'm not as invested as I was like last year when we were in like title.
You should have more enthusiam than me, bro. You're still in the FA Cup. You're still like you're going for top 4. Or
yeah,
top 5.
But my standards are higher than your club, innit? You know what I mean?
You're still in the Champions League. What do you mean?
Yeah, I know, but I think everybody's kind of accepted. No, actually, do you know what? Let's play the game. No, come on, we'll beat Real Madrid. It's not a problem.
Give us your combined 11, man.
You know what? I'm actually doing one later with Dave. End the stream, Dave, later at the ground. So that'll be fun. I'm going to look at Gals for inspiration to see if I can actually beat his, because that's classic. I mean, that for me is going to be my favourite Gal clip ever, I would say. When he's like debating Carvajal or Ben White and he's sort of the guard or Modric. It's like, wow, Rice or Bellingham, whatever it was. I was just like, this guy, man. I love Gal, but wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's
one of a kind, Tel. He is one of a kind.
He is, yes. That's probably the right way to phrase it. One of a kind. Definitely one of a kind. Viewers, get the like button hit. Make sure you are subscribing if you haven't done so already. Loads to talk about today. We're touching on Chelsea and the fact they've been accused of cheating. They've been accused of cheating again. We're going to get the panel's reaction to that accusation and the news surrounding their finances. Liverpool dealt a big blow in their pursuit of Isak. We're looking at that. We're taking a look at Arsenal and the transfer window that supposedly is going to be massive this summer. Supposedly it's going to be huge. Huge, they say. So we're going to be delving into all of that today on the show. There is only one Igal. That's true. There is. Liverpool fan here says Igal is special. Yes. He's... I love him though. I like this comment. It says great, intelligent guests plus Terry. Big up. So thank you, Twisted.
There was a comment after that said no, that he's talking rubbish. So I can't. Let's not big us up too much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're having a laugh.
You're having a laugh. You're having a laugh.
Must be a Chelsea fan, LB. Do you know what I mean?
Hang on.
Yeah,
like he said it. Great conversation. Can't wait to see LB say something about Chelsea again.
How can you be that rattled, bro? Seriously, that we've not even spoke about Chelsea yet, and you're already rattled, bro. Like, that is insane, man. Like, you need to get outside and touch grass, innit? Come on, let's start Chelsea. Come on, Terry, what you got from me, man? Cheaters, yeah? You say the cheaters, yeah? Oh, yo, chat! Chelsea cheats! There you go, that's for your Clips channel. Yeah?
Well, it's a great segue into the Chelsea section because they, of course, have seen their revenue reduced by 60 million, but their profits grow by over 220 million. So from a 90 million pound loss to a 128 million pound profit. Of course, this has been done through partly some player sales and their loan market bringing in some money, but predominantly this profitability has come, gents, from them selling their women's team to their parent company for 200 million. An 18 times multiplier as well. So I've read today that the women's team at Chelsea brings in 11 million a year in revenue. They sold it for 18 times more than its revenue value, which is, listen, if I can sell the Football Terrace to some media mogul for 18 times the valuation, I'm off, bruv. I am leaving. But they've sold they've sold part of another asset, made massive profits. People are calling this out. Kieran Maguire put a post out today that says if you strip the sales of assets and just look at the revenue outside of that, Chelsea would have made a loss of £222 million had they not have sold those assets away from the football club. What's your take on this, gentlemen? Because obviously we know finances is a big part of the game now. It's discussed a lot. But there are some that are saying this is cheating, this is just exploiting loopholes. Others are saying this is good business. What do you guys make of this?
Go on, LB. I'll let you start because this is obviously close to your heart, bruv. So go on.
Yeah, I know. I actually know quite a lot about this subject. You might know. Is it cheating? I say no. I say it's not cheating. There you go, Virgilio. How'd you like that one? Yeah. I don't think it is cheating, because for me, cheating is where you break the rules. Now, they've not broken the rules. What they've done is they've exploited a loophole. Yeah. They've exploited a loophole which exists. And that's the Premier League's fault, because they were the one that put the rules in. And ultimately, Chelsea's owners have outsmarted the Premier League because they found this loophole and they've used it. Now, should they be doing that? And is that right? Well, obviously not. Obviously, morally, that is not right. What they've done is completely wrong, completely out of order. And yeah, I think the likes of Everton, the likes of Forest, will be really, really frustrated that Chelsea have done this. So yeah, morally, on a moral standpoint, absolutely, they're bang out of order. But ultimately, you don't get locked up for morals, right? You get locked up for actual breaking the law. And Chelsea have factually not done anything wrong here. And like I say, I think it's mad. But at the same time, I think your anger has to go towards the Premier League here. If you're frustrated with what Chelsea have done, and there'll be a lot of fans that are really frustrated with what Chelsea have done, because make no mistake about it, yeah, selling your women's club basically to yourself, yeah, selling the car park to yourself and having that get you out of PSR, that's a madness. But ultimately, Chelsea haven't done anything wrong. Like I say, morally, that is not right. But who cares? You know what I mean? Like, morals is a completely different situation. I think what it shows me is that, yet again, the Premier League have been embarrassed. And that's how this should be framed, in my opinion, because the Premier League have put these rules in place and they should have had the smartest brains, the smartest minds in the world, yeah, and say, these are the rules. We want you to come with ideas of getting yourself out of this situation. And they've obviously not done that, because this guy's come in and within 12 months, he started selling all the assets and that, and he's got himself out of PSR. So for me, I think it's a Premier League issue. I don't think Chelsea have done much wrong here. Yeah, it's not right. Technically, it's not right. Morally, it's not right. But they haven't actually broken the law. So I wouldn't call them cheats. I'd call them exploitative, morally wrong. But realistically, who cares? You know what I mean? So yeah, for me, it's the Premier League. It's the Premier League's issue.
Yeah, I'd love to sit here on a stream and start pointing fingers at Chelsea, saying they're a disgrace and they're scum and that they're cheating and all this. But really, what Manchester City and Chelsea have done is embarrass the Premier League and show their presence. That's what they've done. Oh, don't know what's happening there. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi, but I personally do feel like LB is spot on with what he's saying. And I think what Manchester City have done is they've proven that their lawyers have outsmarted and outwitted what the Premier League have set in place. And Todd Bowley and co over at Chelsea are doing exactly the same now. They're now saying, we can do this because there's nothing to say we can't. Now, as a football fan, it doesn't look great and it stinks, if I'm honest. But that's the Premier League's fault. And they either need to change the laws and allow that to be cut down and make sure that that's a new rule in place for not to be happening, or let them do it and let them crack on. And the Premier League will have to decide that. Now, what I will say is there's a lot of Chelsea fans that will say, well, don't shower us, go do it yourself. Go sell your women's team off to this. Go do this X, Y, Z, what we're doing, because it's working for us. It's sorting our PSR out. We spent 1.5 billion. Okay, half of it's on trash, but actually it doesn't stop all of our clubs now spending money and getting away with PSR and this, that, and the third. And I said this, and I was with LB probably 2 years ago when this PSR was spoken about. I knew this was a load of waffle and a load of bollocks, and it wasn't going to work, and that loopholes would be found. And this is why people just end up saying either put the rules in place so it stops people doing it, or just let people spend what they want and go. You've got to do one or the other. You can't do this because otherwise you put in the middle and you can't really do that. You can't really do that. Well, yeah, we found out that we can. Okay, now we better change that law then. Or now we're selling this to this. But okay, well, crikey, we better put another case law in place so they can't do that then. It's just going to be fighting against other lawyers fighting against lawyers. And the Premier League have embarrassed themselves. And if I'm honest with you, if this is going to continue to be the start, it's just going to keep going. Newcastle are going to do this. Chelsea are going to do it. Man City are going to do it. Why? Because they've got all the money and they want to, spend it. Look, we've got a lot of money.
I think they'll Potsy, right? When they bring in these rules in, Yeah, like financial rules or regulation, whatever regulation they bring in, right? So whether it's the signing of academy players from foreign countries, there are certain regulations there that you can and can't sign the players. When it comes to the financial things, do you not think that the Premier League should humble themselves a little bit and go, right, we're going to bring these rules in. We're bringing them what we believe to be the right reasons, right? But we also accept that these owners in the Premier League are billionaires and they've got the best accountants in the world. Why have the Premier League not got like outside accountants, outside smart people?
Yep.
Yeah. Pay them a bit of money and say, right, these are the rules, these are regulations. You now are the owner of a football club that you've got 200 million that you want to spend, but these regulations are stopping you. What are you going to do? Find a way to get around it. Yeah. And you give them a month, and then you come back to you and say, what have you done? Have you found a way around it? And they go, yeah, all right, sound. We'll adjust the rules. Or they come back and say, watertight, sound.
You could get Chat GTP to probably do that.
Probably
like, on a real level. Look, I look at it this way. Like, I think people are equating it to what City are accused of. City are accused of getting sponsors and then funding them themselves. This is a little different. There is no rule that states. I mean, look, there has been a claim today from Stefan Borson. This is where it gets tricky for City fans, because City fans, whatever Borson said, City fans get on their knees and say, yes, thank you, God. But he said on TalkSport earlier today that this malarkey will not work with UEFA. So there's a possibility UEFA could stop Chelsea from competing. Theoretically, that may happen, but that remains to be seen. They haven't. The Premier League tried to block Chelsea and clubs from doing this, but only 11 out of the 20 teams agreed, therefore failed to stop the rule change. Back in June, the Premier League have filed with an attempt to ban clubs from using profits from the sale of club assets in their financial fair play submission. And what you'll probably find, if we go back to this one here, thank you for KJ for finding that, is that the 11 teams that agreed, you probably find they have very little assets to sell. Maybe they don't even own the land that their ground is on. Maybe they don't own any hotels or properties nearby. Maybe their women's team, if they have a women's team, are not even particularly valuable. Maybe, there's multiple reasons as to why they maybe can't do this, right? They don't have the assets. They don't have it there. So they may just, I always find clubs vote for what's within their best interest. You'll also find that some of the people that voted for this have owners that don't want to invest any of their money. The Glazers, as an example, would not like the idea of this, because I'll be honest with you, what Chelsea have done, I want Man United to go and do it today. Our women's team actually generates slightly more revenue than Chelsea's. So therefore, we could sell it for £250 million. Ineos could buy the women's team for £250 million. It goes into our revenue, which means we've got no PSR problems. It then means we can pay some of the debt down, which reduces the interest the following year. It means less redundancies for staff. We can do this. My question, and I will pose this, if anyone from Ineos is watching, why are you not doing this? Now, maybe, as per Stefan Borson, there is the possibility you could be excluded from UEFA. So, I would understand Man United and Arsenal and City not doing it today if there's a chance of being banned from Europe, because wouldn't it would be ironic if Chelsea make the Champions League and then UEFA ban them because of this action. Then we'll all come back and say, actually, it's not very clever. It was stupid. But I agree with you, LB. I think they need to have their rules in place, and I think they've got to use lawyers, fraudsters. You've seen the film Catch Me If You Can? And
I love
DiCaprio,
that.
DiCaprio's character gets caught in a real story. Frank Abagnale, I think his name was. In real life, he was caught and put to prison. And then what they did, the FBI went, we should actually use him to catch other criminals. So he got himself out of prison, essentially, by now. I mean, you could argue he turned into
working
a grass.
with him. Yeah.
Yeah, but he worked. But at the end of the day, he did it. We need to do the same. We've got to go and find fraudsters, cheats, con men, lawyers and accountants, which you could probably put into the same category. No offense to any lawyers and accountants out there. And go, right, scrutinize these rules to the nth degree. Find the loophole. You're absolutely spot on when you say that, LB. I do. I don't think they've cheated. I think
with this comment here quickly, 11 out of 20. How many teams have to vote for it to be changed then? Not just a majority then.
2/3.
2/3, yeah. So you have to get 15 basically.
Right.
But then if some club abstain, then they just get removed. So then obviously it'd be less clubs need to vote for
it. Yes. So,
but I don't think that's another thing. I know I'm not going to go into it, but I don't think you should be able to abstain. You're a club in the Premier League. If the vote's going, you should have to make it. You have a responsibility if you're a football club to vote on the rules. You shouldn't be able to just go, sorry, lads, I'm not getting
I'm
involved.
not getting involved in this.
No.
Yeah.
You're a club in the Premier League. They're having a vote on a set of rules. You have an obligation to review that rule, talk it through your board, talk it through whoever, legal departments, and say, what do we think? You shouldn't just be able to say, nah, I'm not voting.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, look, I would like Man United to do it. I mean, I recorded a podcast earlier that's coming out later today where I said I'd like Ineos to do it. I've already changed my mind. If it turns out it's against UEFA's rules, then let's give it a while. Let's see if Chelsea get away with it first. And if Chelsea get away with it, then I'd be annoyed if my club don't do the same thing. Because essentially, I know this. Look, the only area that Chelsea fans have to be worried about is if they don't start getting back into the Champions League regularly. I know they're in the World Club Championship, 50 million guaranteed. But you're not going to be in it the next time around if you haven't got back into the Champions League. You just won't be in it. If Chelsea get back into the Champions League and therefore also start winning major trophies again, their financial situation will resolve itself. They won't need to sell assets. The only problem Chelsea have is nothing to do with cheating or corruption. It's they're selling assets because they're losing so much money on this project. You can't just keep losing money and keep selling. Eventually, because what I don't think you're allowed to do in Premier League. Yeah. Chelsea are in FFP trouble with UEFA because they do not accept. Okay, so this is also it. So it's one of these things where nothing's fraudulent, but FFP may, because this is the thing with FFP and PSR. For instance, people keep saying, "Oh, how can Man United build a new stadium? They'll be in more debt. They'll lose more money. They'll fail PSR." Infrastructure is deductible. So say you lose 500 million a year, but 500 million loss was down to the stadium being built. That doesn't impact you on PSR. In fact, the investment in your women's team, investment in youth. So that's also something that Chelsea are probably going to do. If you buy a lot of young players and you can say they're part of the youth investment, not the first team. So Man United buying Chido Obi as an example and all the youngsters with ball, that all gets written off of PSR and FFP. So that's going to be a real interesting one. So absolutely right now, Man United, don't do it. Let's wait and see what happens with Chelsea. But it's the long-standing financial issues that Chelsea should be focusing on. If they don't get back in the Champions League, if they don't start winning trophies, there comes a point where you can't keep selling assets because they're all gone and the revenue is dropping. That's when Chelsea could find themselves in dire straits. So for me, no cheating whatsoever. The focus should be more on, hang on. And this is for any business. If a business to operate has to sell its assets, there comes a point where the business will go bust if those revenues don't increase. And the only way Chelsea are increasing those revenues is by winning trophies and getting back in the Champions League. So, yeah, look, it's interesting times at Chelsea, to say the least, boys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you're right in saying that. They've only got so many assets to sell.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to turn this around quickly. You know what I mean? And they seem like they probably sold the high items. You know what I mean? If you're in debt and the debt collector's knocking on your door and you've got to sell items, you start with, right, well, let me get rid of the big things first. You know what I mean? Get that debt down, innit? So that's what they've done. They've sold the main things. They've got to sort this out. And the problem for Chelsea is they still need another 200, 300 million spending on the squad, man.
Well, this is what I was going to say, LB, which I think you'd like to hear, is that now they've made this profit, based on the way that trading accounts work, they have got maybe 300 to 400 million pounds to spend because they can amortize it. There is no excuse to do that. There's no excuse to not buy the experienced goalie, mid defenders, strikers. And they've got to do it. If they spend it, although on kids, they spend it on that. That's where Chelsea fans should be asking questions.
Well,
right?
They're linked with a 21-year-old goalkeeper and Garnacho. So, you know, that's the sort of targets they're going for. Surely they can't go for that, man. I mean, crikey, it's ridiculous if they go for players like that. Surely they've got to go and get Osimhen. Surely they've got to go and get, you know, a goalkeeper in the Premier League that they look at, they like, whether it's for Bruggen or whether it's Matt Sells. They've got to go and do this now. They can't be, got to go and get players ready for now, not in 5 or 6 years' time. You know, and they're getting excited by Kendrick Paez and by Estavio and all these guys coming through. They'll be great in 5 years, man. Chelsea got to win now. I mean, Chelsea are a club that should be winning every year. You should look at their season as a failure if they don't win a trophy, just like Arsenal. Yeah, they're no different. So that's the standard I put Chelsea in. If you want to have another 5 years and, in 5 years, Chelsea might be win saying, great stuff. But don't take the piss out of Arsenal fans that are saying that, you know, this process is going to take a while. Not that it's me who says that, by the way. the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because Chelsea fans who've been giving Arsenal fans stick over the last couple of years, and rightly so, because your club's an embarrassment. They are at serious risk of going down the same way. And actually, it's probably more embarrassing because they spent 1.5 billion quid.
It is more embarrassing.
It is more embarrassing. It is. So this is it. This summer, Chelsea need to be serious. Go and get a proper goalkeeper, go and get a proper striker, and then go get a couple of other players dotted around the squad. But we're talking serious talent here, I'm not talking like some 19-year-old, from the French second division. I'm not talking about 17-year-old from Brazil. Talking about real, proper players. And if they do that, they should have a squad that is at least in a title race for the majority of the season.
This here says that United have always spent money. See where they are. Success is not just about spending money.
That's true.
It is
not
just about,
it in the right. You got to spend it in the right way.
Exactly. But you cannot find me a consistently successful team in Europe over the last 30 to 40 years who doesn't have a high wage bill or consistently spends money on signing players.
Facts.
So you are right that spending doesn't guarantee success, but not spending and running out of money guarantees in the long term you are not winning regularly.
But yeah, exactly. Sustained success needs sustained investment. Check me out here, work for Barclays Bank or something like that, man. This is the truth, mate. You need because look at it, Liverpool spent 10 million euros in the summer, Chiesa, and they're going to win the league. Great. If they spend 10 million euros this summer, they ain't winning the league next year, guaranteed. Leicester won the league. Mint. It's sustained investment. You want to keep being at the top. You got to can do it. This is why you look at the F1 teams, man. They're spending hundreds of millions of pounds every year. Little tweaks to try and get that car to go a bit faster, man. You got to keep spending.
Bayer Leverkusen are another example. Bayer Leverkusen was superb last year, and they hardly spent anything that summer. And they haven't gone out and gone bam, bam, bam with what they've won, and now they're struggling to win again. So you're right. You're absolutely bang on. Yeah, it's. I understand where Abadaya is coming from here. However, it's a really diluted opinion. Yes, some teams spend and they spend badly, but that's also partly what's causing Chelsea's financial problems. Is so far their investment hasn't yielded the return that they want. And by the way, they are making some money now. The revenues for loaning out players is starting to grow. They're selling some players and making some profits in those areas. But for that half a billion, they spent on youngsters that they were meant to flip, that's got to start yielding a huge return soon. Otherwise, you are getting into the realms of owing all that money still yearly on amortization payments, plus needing to invest more to get over the line to win. You haven't had a shirt sponsor all year. That has cost you about £40 million in revenue. You can't afford another season without Champions League football, another season without a shirt sponsor, and maybe it's about accepting a lower sponsorship offer. But if your sponsorship offers are coming in lower than you want, that's because the brands are saying, well, you're not successful anymore. You want to get that money up, you've got to start winning. Man United our revenue's high. It's because we're one of the biggest teams in the world. However, our revenue has dropped significantly over the years. No Champions League football. Lots of our sponsors, like Adidas, as an example, there is punishments for us and financial penalties if we don't make the Champions League once every 3 seasons, where we'll lose 20-30 million pounds. You add that all up, we have spent loads and wasted it, but it's actually ended up costing us even more, because if you minus out Champions League revenue, which with how much we've spent in the last decade, we should have nearly always been in and around, plus all the sponsors that have either pulled out or paid us less, we've probably lost another 600, 700, 800 million pound in that space. So you look at that, you're burning the candle at both ends. And yes, you're right. Spending money doesn't guarantee success, but I will quote the banker to my right on the screen. Sustained success needs sustained investment. It's a very good pitch. You could get a job at Barclays if you want one. I could link you up.
I got the gift of the gab, bro. I can get a job anywhere I want, mate. Walk in, I'll do it anyway. I want a job at Monster. Walk in. I got the new flavors, bro. I'll be there. Anything, mate. Bro. Honestly, man, it's not really. You got to fake it until you make it, man. It's what you got to do. Confidence is key.
It is true. You do get a lot of places in life with that, and pretty privilege. That's how I got away with it. My pretty privilege, being good looking, just used to help.
I just felt sorry for you. That's all right,
mate. I hear ya. The bridge is going to be next. Well, they can't sell the bridge because the fans own the pitch. So the bridge, unless, and you know what though? Would you be surprised if Clear Lake find a way of selling the stadia, but not the pitch? I wouldn't be surprised if they sell the bit they own, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. But Chelsea do need a new stadium, and I know the fans don't want to give up their ground, and I understand it. But you think about how much more revenue City are going to generate with their new 60, 70,000 seater. Spurs are already doing it. Liverpool have grown. Arsenal, 20 years after the Emirates opened, they're now looking to expand it. Man United looking to do the revenue. You know, if Chelsea don't leave their ground, Man United will have 60,000 more fans per game, home game, than Chelsea. Now, maths, right? That means, let's just say I read somewhere the other day, the average football fan spends around £88 on ticket and everything. It averages £88 spent per person. On revenue, okay, if Man United are earning £88 per person, 60,000, that means every home game Man United play, to the guesstimate based on that average, Man United make an extra £5.2 million more than Chelsea.
That's fucking mad, isn't it?
You multiply that, say, over 25 home games in a season, including Europe and Cups, right? And that's a conservative estimate. That, okay, oh, sorry, I fucking divided it because I'm a moron, right? Let's times it again by 25. Times it again. That means in a year, Man United could, when the new stadium's open, that equates over a 25 home game season to £132 million more in revenue Man United would make.
That's an elite level player.
Exactly.
Every season they got that elite level player, basically, for just having a bigger stadium, mate.
It's crazy.
So it's a madness, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I don't like it. Yeah, I'm a bit sad that like a lot of these old school football stadiums have been demolished. Yeah, I mean, you look at Main Road, you look at Highbury. You know, even United's, if they move, yeah, it's going to be more of a modern one. Shout out Liverpool have actually kept Anfield the way it is. I like the old school football stadium sort of situation, you know what I mean? So I'm a bit sad, but at the end of the day, we're in a modern era, modern times. I might not like it, I might not agree with it, but the fact is, clubs have got to move with the times. And yeah, if United are getting an extra 100 million quid a year, that's a player. It's a free player for doing what? For having a bigger stadium.
It's and that's a year. And you think imagine that over a 10-year period, it means we're going to make 1.2, 1.3 billion pound more. And again, if that money is used correctly by us, the advantage it gives us is huge, which is why I know a lot of United fans don't want the new stadium, but it also future-proofs you. And I actually went back and looked at footage of Old Trafford recently and the Santiago Bernabeu and all these stadiums 70, 80 years ago. You know, they look nothing 70, 80 years ago like they look now, or the Bernabeu before it got redone. So this idea of, I don't want it to change because this is our tradition. But it isn't our tradition because the stadium, Old Trafford didn't look like this 30 years ago. So I understand some people are born and bred in their local and they'll feel a bigger connection because they walk past it, they drive past it every day. I get it. But it didn't look like this 30 years ago. It didn't look like this 60 years ago. It didn't look like it 100 years ago. Every 30 or 40 years, proper clubs and big club stadiums look almost completely different every time. So that's why I'm not married to this idea. I wouldn't want it to leave that area of Manchester or the city of Salford. Sorry, LB, but I wouldn't want it to leave there and go to another part of the city. You know, although it would be better if it came to London for me, it'd be closer. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's a joke, people. Don't get your knickers in a twist. I did that years ago. I had a Man United fan website that we used to run. And we did an article on April Fool's Day where we said that the stadium was moving to London, and the amount of people that fell for it, I couldn't believe it. Like, I ended up getting death threats. So like, you bastard, but it's April Fool's joke, you mug. Like, and at the end, some of the stuff we wrote in there as well, it was just so obvious it wasn't real. But there we go.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. Why don't United, with all your global fan base and the biggest club in the world, why don't you make the biggest stadium in world football? In fact, in sports, what's the biggest stadium in the world, chat?
That's what they are trying to do, isn't it?
Well,
in America, they've got that 120k. I swear.
Oh, sorry. Okay, we're talking.
Yeah,
okay.
no, I agree. I agree with you. I don't understand why we don't do that. I'll tell you,
what's the biggest in the world, man?
I don't know.
Well, it's okay. So I've looked at it. There's one, but we don't know if this is true. North Korea says theirs was 150,000, but it's North Korea, and I don't know whether to believe them. Right? Outside of that, the other biggest in the world, the top 20 biggest stadiums in the world. So Wow. So the Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee in America holds 153,000 people. You've then got the one in North Korea, which they claim is that. Michigan Stadium is 107,000. I've been to number 4, which is the Beaver Stadium at the University Park in Pennsylvania at Penn State, 106,000. Ohio State, this is college, boys, by the way. College. The college in Ohio is 102,000. And then Kyle Field, again, this is a state. The college in Texas is 102. Tiger Stadium, it's all fucking colleges, 102. The biggest football stadium, though, that I can find here that I think is just for football, 94.
The new Nou Camp, wasn't
it? Might be the new Nou Camp, yes. So currently, it's put down as the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg, 194,000. Egypt Stadium is
194.
No, I'm a dickhead. 94,000. I had it the 100. Sorry, my fault. 93,000 in Egypt. Where's the next football one? Then Wembley at 90,000. So yeah, look, we will have the biggest football stadium in the world. Why would we? I look at the ones that are 106, 107,000. I think we could fill it. I think when you look at the next biggest one, which is the 153,000, I don't think we're selling it out. I think
you should go for that 120, man. Do 120 in it.
I'd go for one. I would push it. I think 110. I think 110. You get, and this is why I would do 110, right? Firstly, I'd like to ask how much more expensive it is to do 10,000 extra seats. Then what I would do with those 10,000 extra seats, if we think we can sell 100,000, is find all the longest serving Man United fans that have had the longest serving season tickets and go, here is a gift for the rest of you as an individual. So when you die and you pass it on, they have to pay. But for you, you never pay again. You get in for free. So I would give 10,000 seats away for free to those fans. That's what I would personally do as a gesture of good. By the way, those 10,000 fans, watch them stop complaining. Just putting it out there. Watch them stop complaining. I ain't going to the march anymore. I don't want to lose my ticket. But yeah, I'd go 110,000 to have the biggest in the world outside of that, whatever it calls, the Bristol Motor Speedway Stadium in Tennessee. But yeah, I'd do that. But yeah, they're not. But listen, by the way, 100,000 seater, I'm happy with that, bro. It's so much bigger than every other English team. It will never be caught in my life. So yeah, I'm happy with that personally. I'm happy with being bigger than all of you. It's nice. I'm compensating, but there we go. This here says an LB weekly reminder: owners are not your friends.
No, I know that, man. Facts. I don't care about us, mate. We're the little guys, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Can you explain what Chelsea did in simple terms, Terry, and how it is not illegal? Well, they sold an asset. Okay, maybe that's not simple. They sold the women's team from Chelsea FC to Blueco, which is their parent company. It's not illegal to buy assets from each other. So I own a few businesses. It's not illegal for one of my companies to buy the camera equipment from my YouTube business. There is no law against that happening. And it's not illegal. There's no legal, it's not at all. And there's no rule in the Premier League that stops that from happening either. So it's not against the rules of the game, and it is not illegal for business A. And you've got to remember, limited companies are all separate entities. What that means is me and Dan Potts are separate entities with different people. I could own 10 businesses, 10 different limited companies, but they're all 10 of those businesses are different entities. Doesn't matter if they all sound the same. Terry Fleur's Co. Limited, Terry Fleur's One Stop Shop Limited, Terry Fleur's Plumbing Limited, Terry Fleur's TT Limited, Terry Fleur's TFT Limited. They're all separate entities legally. They can all buy stuff from each other. There's no law against it. As long as the money that's being transacted is not from illegal gains. So as long as I'm not laundering money for a cartel and then just buying assets so that the money can be processed, it's not illegal, essentially, is how I would explain it. Hopefully that made sense. Fair market price, Chelsea women worth more than Ajax, Leeds, Valencia, Sevilla, and can... Yeah, look, the market value, I don't know how you value it. I'll be honest with you. So it's very hard for any of us to sit here and go, what is a woman's team worth? What is a man's team worth? You know, you got to think that's 200 million out of a club that's worth what? 3 billion? So, yeah, I mean, you probably find it is worth about that. I mean, I can't answer that because I don't know how to value a woman's football team. Genuinely, I don't know how to do it. So,
When was the last time a woman's football team was bought on its own?
I don't think it. Well, I don't know.
You'd have to find out, wouldn't you? And
do any
work it out.
Yep, yeah, and even then, that's one on its own that maybe isn't connected to a massive. It doesn't have the brand of Chelsea behind it, or United, or City, or Arsenal. So it's going to be worth a lot less. If you're Chelsea branded, you're worth a lot more than like if for instance, if Barclays Bank, we mentioned them already, started a subsidiary company that offers sort of online only style banking, like a fintech bank, but it had Barclays backing and branding behind it, it'd be worth instantly more money than a brand new startup that us three made that does the same services, because it has that branding, that backing, that infrastructure behind it. So yeah,
I found something here.
Oh, go on.
NW, I think this might be American, isn't it? So we need the Americans in the chat to help us out. But NWSL Angel City sold for record-breaking $250 million to Disney CEO Bob Iger.
Well, there we go. If that's where, I mean, I will say this though. I think American female football, soccer,
yes, well bigger than us, isn't it?
I think it's more valuable than in the UK. But that's Angel City, who are what, like, they're not even the biggest football brand in LA. So, and that's fair. So it seems like it's fair.
And how much did Chelsea's women get sold for?
200 mil.
So yeah, it probably seems about right then, doesn't it?
Yeah. On our layman terms, us sitting here working it out. Yeah, I think it does. Moving on from Chelsea. Breaking news while we've been live, gents. Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah remains interested in Saudi Pro League offer,
yeah,
but unlikely to move before Club World Cup in mid-June.
Wow.
See you later.
Wow.
He's gone as well. Honestly, man, these Liverpool fans, yeah, who are saying that they're all going to stay, kidding yourself, mate. Yeah, we're in April now. April. And they've still not signed the contract. Oh, but they're just waiting for the season to end. What waffle are you talking about? This is what they said about Sadio Mane. Yeah, this is what City fans said about Gundogan. They're all going, mate. Yeah. So enjoy your league title, innit? And I mean that genuinely, sincerely. Yeah. Enjoy your league title. Yeah. Properly enjoy it. Yeah. And then next year, Europa League time. You know what I mean? You'll be there, man, because you ain't getting. I think if you lose all three of them, you're in serious mud, mate. Yeah, you might not get top 5 next year. Real talk, man.
Mate, it's brilliant. If it happens, look, I mean, I haven't got particularly anything against Liverpool like you two have. I don't particularly like them, but I don't hate on them. And I do feel sorry.
I don't hate on them.
No. But you've had a rivalry, haven't you? You've had a proper rivalry where you're going for Premier Leagues and stuff.
Yeah,
we really
haven't. They're also winning the title, aren't they, Potsy? So like,
yeah, exactly. So
you got it.
Yeah. But this is mad. Trent was always going to Real Madrid. I knew that a long time ago, and I think that's no shock that he's going there. I genuinely did have a little bit of an inkling, though, that Van Dijk and Salah might stay. And then there was rumours that Van Dijk was flirting with PSG and talking to their owners or whatever. Then there's rumours of Salah always being linked with Saudi. Wow, if they lose those 3, I honestly don't know what happens next for Liverpool. Because without them 3 this season, I don't know where they'd be. They certainly wouldn't have won the league. I'm not saying they're going to be 15th or something, but they certainly would be nowhere near 12 points clear. I honestly believe this could be a massive... And you know what? I said it last night to Errol on the channel, LB, and he didn't like it. Are they going to call their ownership and their board out, these Liverpool fans? Oh, no, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. Why not? Because they just won a title. Right, but you won a title with the 3 players that have just left and walked out for nothing. So there has to be consequences. Konate and Alisson are the next 2 that are probably going to walk out for free as well, or at least be sold.
That's wild.
What is going on, man? Like, this is how not to run a football club. And I appreciate that Edwards and Hughes are now in charge again, and that things might look up for them. But let's be real, they've got a big job on their hands. And I feel sorry for Arne Slot, if I'm honest. He's come in. He hasn't really still been given enough credit, in my opinion, this season for winning the league, which he's going to do. Yeah. Oh, it was inherited to him. This was given to him by Klopp. It's the same side that Klopp won 1 Premier League with in 9 years. It's not like it was easy for him to walk the league. Yeah. And now he's losing his 3 best players. Kanate going, it seems, as well, unless he signs, and there's no rumours that he's going to be signing. So what is happening at Liverpool? Have they lost their spark? Do they all think it's completed it, mate? We're off? Like, real talk, man. Salah's going to be a god over in Saudi, so I understand why he's tempted by it. Yeah. I'm not sure Van Dijk's situation. If Van Dijk could get a free over at Real Madrid or PSG, I imagine he'd probably be tempted as well. But my God, these free leaving? Wow. It is legit. Like,
Alisson's deal's running down as well. Alisson has 1 year left.
Mamardashvili. They've got this Mamardashvili coming in because he's going to be the new number one in the next couple of years because they appreciate Alisson's now 30 and injury prone. This is the end of an era for Liverpool if this happens. Now, I don't know how reliable that source is, Terry. I've no idea. But if he genuinely is interested in Saudi and genuinely looks like he's going, I mean, Liverpool, right? They all want Isak and a huge summer. It is impossible for FSG to be getting the Isak and Salah and Van Dijk and Trent situation happening. Sorry, go on. What are you going to say?
In other news today, James Pearce says senior recruitment figures at Liverpool certainly admire Isak, but it's highly unlikely that Liverpool would agree to pay £150 million for him. So the stories are already starting to come out of Liverpool that we want him, we're chasing him, we're talking to him, but he's too much money.
Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting Margot Robbie for quite some time, but I'm not going to get her. So you can want Isak as long as you want. Do you know what I mean? Look, man, it's a man. Yeah, you're right there, Tel.
No, just thinking, is your missus watching?
Mate, I personally, I would be worried if I'm a Liverpool fan. I'll be worried. Yeah, enjoy your Premier League title. Trust me, and really do, because you don't know what's coming next. But trust me, I would be seriously worried. I don't know what LB thinks about that because, you know, look, me and him have been speaking.
I genuinely think they're done after this year, man. Like, I'm sorry, yeah, but like if Trent leaves, Van Dijk leaves, and Salah leaves, which is happening right now at this moment in time, they're all leaving at the end of the season until they sign the contract. Factually, they're all leaving. Yeah, they're done. They're done out here. Yeah, Konate's leaving next summer. Done. Finito, bro. Like, it's a madness. And the fact that the board and the club have allowed this to happen is crazy. And I just find it insane how some Liverpool fans are hating on Trent because for whatever reason. Yet they're not going sick at Salah and Van Dijk. Like, they're doing the same thing, lads. You can't pick and choose. Salah and Van Dijk are walking on a free as well. Why are you not going sick at Salah and Van Dijk, mate?
Great point, bro. Great point.
Well, why is that? Why is that? Explain it to me. Why?
Because they're not a Scouser, mate. Because they're not a Scousers, mate.
Wrong,
that's
man.
what he's
being. Bro, I have the same energy for all three of them, man. All three of them have allowed the contracts to run down. Yeah, so I personally don't think you should have any anger at any of them. I think your anger should be directed fully at the club. Yeah,
at the board.
But
and the
I
owners,
don't think you
100%.
should pick one of them out and be like, he's wrong, but Salah and Van Dijk are fine. Why is that? They're the same, mate. They're the same. So yeah, I think they're done. I think all three of them are leaving. I think all three of them are leaving. And actually, I think the fact that they're going to win the title probably makes them leave even more because they can leave with their head held high.
Yeah,
they can leave on a high and be like, "Yeah, see you later."
Yeah, I think that the news around Isak, I think it's like
he's just unobtainable, Terry. Let's just be real. He's unobtainable. Unless you know what I mean. In my opinion, if you were going to go up to Newcastle and go, look, we want him. How much do you want for him? He ain't got a price. Well, everyone has. Here's 180. Here's 200. No one's going to do that because that's the only way that they go. Unless Isak pushes for it and like Newcastle fall off and they're seventh or something. He's
unobtainable for Liverpool if they lose all these players because they've got to replace the right back, they've got to replace the centre back, they've got to replace Konate in a year. Alisson's already been done, to be fair. They've got to replace Salah. And you could argue that the money that they're going to spend on Isak is replacing the goals of Mohamed Salah. But 150, they'd also be in a position, Liverpool, where they've got very little room to negotiate. The only way they could drive the price down is if Isak digs his heels in, kicks off. And I just don't think he's going to do that at this point because his value's so high, the deal could fall through. Even if Isak's like, I'm going to force a move and get out for 120 million, Liverpool say we can afford it. All it takes is for Isak to twist badly in training, do his knee, the deal's off, and then he's got to face the Newcastle fans after trying to force a move. Players rarely do that, especially not publicly. So, yeah, the Isak deal, just reading the story today from James Pearce, looks like it's, for Liverpool anyway, absolutely dead in the war. So we'll come on to Arsenal later. They've clearly moved their focus slightly in that regard. But, yeah, this news that's just come out from Jason Burt, who, according to Football Canopies here he's a decent source, as you say. You know, it's his remains interested, and this is where the PR begins, because Salah's going to keep saying publicly, I want to stay, I want to stay, I want to stay. But him and his team are clearly also discussing future deals. I mean, why would they not be? You know, in 2 months, he's a free agent. So, yeah, they've got to pull their finger out, Liverpool. And I do agree with you, LB. This idea of, well, they're going to sort it in the summer. Look, your season's over. You've won the league. You're out of the Champions League. There's nothing left to do. Like, every game now should be a party. What better way to enjoy? Imagine how good these last 10 games are going to be if in the next 2 or 3 of them at home, you're wheeling out Konate with a new deal. You're wheeling out Salah with a new deal. You're wheeling out Van Dijk with a new deal. If they do that, it is party motherfucking central at Liverpool. The banner, the streamers are out, the party poppers, the champagne. Babies are being made. Do you know how much fucking is going to be happening in those Scouse homes? It's going to be a madness. Why would you leave it to the end of the season and put the fans through this? For me, it's because
the contract.
It's because they've rejected the offer so far. That might change, but they are not delaying this for any other reason. And even if you were in the Champions League, how is announcing your greatest ever players are staying longer bad? It doesn't make any sense, man. And
it's copium, hopium, whatever it is. Yeah, these players have rejected the contracts that have been put to them. The question is, are the club going to meet their demands, or do the players actually want to stay? Does Salah actually want to stay? He says he wants to stay, but how do you know he just says, I want to stay, so then when he eventually leaves in the summer, the fans don't get onto him and blame the club instead?
Well, that's how Liverpool, that's how FSG will spin this. They've already pushed out and they're trying to make... There were some accusations flying around yesterday that Newcastle content creators are being paid money by Saudis to like promote the country and say how brilliant everything is. I sort of don't understand what the issue with that is. It's just basically telling people to go on holiday. Listen, if Thomas Cook ring me up and say, would you start advertising holidays for us? I'm not going to say no. Do you know what I mean? I might not have been to that hotel in Lanzarote, but I'll say it's nice for the right money. Like, I don't really get the issue with it. I wouldn't be surprised if FSG are paying journalists and paying certain ex-Liverpool pros to push particular narratives. Sorry, my dog started barking. I thought someone was in my garden. It's not. Someone's mowing their lawn. I sort of look at it a bit like I wouldn't be surprised if FSG spin Mo Salah and Van Dijk as being greedy, money hungry. We made them some of the greatest offers in the history of our football club, in the history of the Premier League, and they still told us no. I do think that is the rhetoric that will be pushed by Liverpool. They did it to Raheem Sterling all them years ago.
I think that'd be true, though.
In the last week.
I think that'd be the truth. Do you think Liverpool are not offering them incredible deals?
I think they have. I think they have offered them brilliant deals. But I still think they're offering the players one of or both below their market value and not long enough contracts. So I think Mo Salah's asking for 3 years. They're going to say, we'll give you and 400 grand a week, which I think Mo is worth when you look at his goals. They're probably offering him 300 grand a week on a 1-year deal with an option to extend it. And that's how, and so they'll be right.
I'd be surprised if they're doing that, Terry. Given the fact they've got 3 players leaving, Konate leaving next year, Alisson the year after, all on free transfers, I'd be surprised if they're playing hardball. I think Liverpool have offered Van Dijk, Salah and Trent great contracts. Yeah. I just don't think they want to stay. I just think they want to leave. And I think it's as simple as that.
I don't think so. I think they would stay, but I don't think that they are getting enough. And they know they can go and get more elsewhere, like Salah, for example. Van Dijk's probably going to be able to go and easily get that at PSG or Real Madrid. What I don't understand, though, is someone in the comment section, Yanni, saying, I'm sorry, guys, you're talking nonsense in regards to Liverpool. Things are not so dramatic as you think. In some point, they have to move away from these players. Like, for me, how are people backing this? And he's not the only one, by the way. There's a section of the fan base. I've been watching Liverpool content for the last couple of weeks, and I've been stunned. There is a section that are actually sticking up for FSG, LB. They actually believe this is not their fault. There's nothing they could do. All 3 of them want to leave. What are we going to do about it? Well, 2 years ago, when their contracts are coming down to 2 years, you have a conversation with them and say, right, either you go and you get some money or you sign here. And if they say, well, I'm not signing, then you sell them. And it doesn't matter if you don't sell them for their full value. You still sell them for a good amount of money. You might not get the 250 million that they're all potentially worth, but you're probably going to get 150 of that million, and you go and spend that on XYZ. I just can't believe you're sticking up for your board on ownership. I do not understand that. This was Arsenal, and there's a very, very slim chance this could be happening at Arsenal in a couple of years' time. We've got Saka, Gabriel, and Saliba that are all on 2 years. If they want to leave this summer and say, I ain't signing, we are going to have to sell them. People might not want to hear that, but if they say, I don't want to stay here for more than 2 years, I'm going to sit and chill and see out my deal, we are going to have to make a horrible decision, which is potentially selling them. And if we don't do that and the three of them walk out on a free, I'll be holding exactly the same energy as I am currently for FSG, for the Cronkies. So I don't know how you can stick up for the board. I can't say, well, Cronkies can't do anything. The players just want to leave. What it's like, just got to let them go. No, you haven't got to let them go. It's crazy, man. It must be copium, LB. I don't understand how they can sit there. I don't get it, bro.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre, isn't it? You know, you at least stagger them leaving one a year for 3 years, don't you? You know what I mean? You say, right, Salah, you know, you get the contracts done a couple of years ago, and then you do like, so Trent leaves this year, Salah next year, Van Dijk the year after. So you're not losing to lose all three in one summer is just a disaster. And there's no spinning, there's no gaslighting that can be done here. Every fan in the world knows that's horrendous. And they will be a much worse side next year. Facts.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I send a message there. No, I agree. Potts, it's copium. They are just pretending.
Must be.
Yeah, there is certainly that. Thank you, Sandy, for becoming a new member of the Football Terrace. I appreciate that massively. Patrick here says the number of quality players that are available is very small. There are multiple teams across Europe looking for the same things. Letting go of your top players for free is terrible club management. Do you know what? I've agreed with something that a few Liverpool fans have said. Like, I think Rio Ferdinand was sort of talking about Liverpool should be applauding Trent away. I wouldn't go that far. I think some of the nasty things they've said about Trent are crazy. I think their anger is a little bit misguided. They should be looking more at how this situation has occurred as opposed to blaming the individual per se. I also think as football fans, by and large, we spend so much time saying players have to be loyal, but our clubs and us as fans, we are fucking disloyal if something better comes along. If you can sign a better player, no one moans, no one cries. Like City fans weren't screaming at I don't know, Phillips for not being fucking loyal, were they? As an example, you know, City fans didn't care that Palmer left. They didn't say, "Oh, he was an academy player, he should be loyal to us," because at the time of him leaving, City fans rated him. But one, they didn't think he'd be as good as he was at Chelsea. Plus, they were doing brilliantly, so their minds weren't in that space. I think we pick and choose often when we call upon loyalty to be important, and other times when we don't. But yeah, this is
the people really tell you that say, "Oh, well, he just wanted to go. There's nothing we could do." Cristiano Ronaldo was saying for years he wanted to go to Spain. Absolutely years. He didn't walk on a free. You know what I mean? Manchester United got money for him. Gareth Bale at Tottenham, they got serious money for him. Harry Kane, they got good money for him. Yeah, you just sell them when they're sitting contracts. Quite simple. You don't let your three best players run down their contracts and walk away for nothing. There is no way you can stick up for your board and ownership there. I'm sorry, that's absolutely mad for me. I can't understand this. And people that are putting their anger towards the free players, crazy. They can just say, well, they didn't offer me a contract, so I'm going. They didn't want me to stay. Have a go at them, not me.
I think you can have some anger towards, because a lot of them think Trent lied. I still don't see. He could have told us earlier. He could have spoken out about it. But the problem is that players are damned if they do and damned if they don't. They really are. Because let's look at Isak as an example. Newcastle fans like, he said he wants to stay. He loves it here. So if he ends up leaving, you're going to call him a liar. But also, if he said, I love it here, but I'd love to try another club sometime in the future, you'd also slam him because you'd say, how dare you say that when you're one of our players? We do it to the transfer journalists. We spoke about it yesterday, Potsy, where it's like, we want instant day-by-day updates. We want to hold the journalists to account on everything they say. And then we've also become angry with the language they now use that's a little bit open-ended and protective because, well, we abuse them. Like, we've kind of created this situation with players ourselves because we can't handle honesty. Most fans don't want honesty. They lie. I want honesty. No, you want to hear what you want to hear. You don't care whether it's the truth or a lie. You just want to have your ego massaged, and you want your confirmation bias, and that's it. And we see it all the time. When Amorim comes out and says Rashford ain't good enough, He didn't use those words, but that's just hypothetical. Rashford weren't good enough for us. Everyone who doesn't rate Rashford goes, I love this boss, speaks the truth, tells it as it is, love him. Same person says, I don't think Sancho is good enough. You hear, fucking idiot, man. Keep it behind closed doors. Why are you chatting business publicly like this for? It's not what he says. It's not what he says. It is what he says, but it's who he's saying it about. And I think football fans are like that as well. So it's just, I think they've got to learn to toughen up a little bit. Seems like they planned on selling Salah and Trent in the winter. They started so well, they couldn't, but still unacceptable to be out of contract. I don't know. I mean, you think if they were sitting like 5th in the league, like people predicted, like a lot of people predicted, they'd have sold them in January, maybe. But by that logic, they should have just sold them in the summer.
And sold them in the summer. That makes no sense.
Sell them in the summer, make your money, move on from that point. Excuse me. I drank this drink and it's repeating on me. Imagine Liverpool drop points in both games this week because of these transfer stories.
Hope so. Can't see it. Hope so.
What, transfer race back on? Is that what you're saying?
Title race.
Everton,
Fulham.
Oh,
Everton, two tricky games, man. Two tricky games.
What if they lose 2 and Arsenal?
If they lose 2, it's back on 100%.
Have they actually got Everton and Fulham? Because we've got Everton and Fulham.
Yeah, they've got the same games as you, just the other way around.
Wow.
Well, Carl is an Arsenal fan, but yeah, if Arsenal win their 2 games and Liverpool were to lose them, as per Carl's point,
well, it's down to 6 points then.
Oh, it would be on, wouldn't it?
And you've got to play them as well at their ground, so you'd have to win that. So it's 3 points.
God, I'd love that. I can't see it happening, but I'd love it.
Yeah,
I think this week's the one. I think if Liverpool win both of their games, it's over. I mean, I already think it's over anyway. But I think if there's any chance that we can have a title race, Arsenal need to win their next 2 games, and Liverpool need to lose their next 2 games.
Yeah, it would be. Imagine the scenes though. Again, just from an outside, I know I'm a United fan, so I don't like Liverpool. But just as someone who doesn't just consume football, but I make content about it, from an excitement perspective, it would be nice. Just because it would get everybody talking again. Like if Arsenal lose their next 2 and Liverpool win, it's just like season done. It already feels like it's finished, but it rubber stamps it. And I just think it'd be nice, but they've got 2 months left of football. So we'd like a little bit going on. Although the top 4 race looks really juicy, to be fair. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that one. If Palace win, we're touching Europe. Unbelievable. The Palace are in good form at the minute, Twisted Bubba. Very, very good indeed.
Yeah, big fan of what they're doing under Glasner, man. I think he's been brilliant.
Imagine this picture. Again, I'm just talking here about the social media reaction, which we are all invested in. The viewers and you two gents. Imagine Liverpool collapse and don't win the league and lose all these players.
Wow.
That's
insane, yeah. I don't know. I don't even know if there's ever been anything like worse in Premier League history than that. Like a collapse of a football club. To lose the league with 9 games to go and then lose your 3 best players.
Wow.
I think that would be the worst thing.
Walk away with no trophy as well because they've not won any of the cups either.
Oh yeah, no trophy. That's mad. Yeah. That's probably the worst thing that would ever happen in in the Premier League.
It actually is. Being 12 points clear with 9 to go. That would be insane.
I think if they lost those players and lost the league from this point, I think that would be like the permanent crowning of Bottlers FC. It's just because like Man United are the victims of the most iconic individual moment in Premier League football, the Aguero goal. But that was, we were behind them week games before that. We slightly got back in front. They beat us. But it was neck and neck. It was close. Imagine having like a 12-point gap with, 9 games to go, losing the league, but then also losing all your best players. Like just the amalgamation of all those things at the same time. It's not going to happen. But what I'm just saying, I would love to be a fly in the wall. Imagine the watch-alongs, just the watch-along reactions, final day of the season where they lose, right? Just imagine the watch-alongs of Hussam, Craig, all of them. It would just be cinema. I think it would be Oscar-worthy. I think if you edit it all together, it could win an Oscar. Be beautiful. Terry, can Man United get top 4? No. Mathematically, yes.
If we can win the league, you can get top 4. You know what I mean?
The issue is the same
amount of points, ain't it? It's about 12.
But it's probability, right? So it isn't just the maths. It's the maths is difficult enough. but it means we've got to be better than every team ahead of us. So we've got to be better. We would have to do better than by a country mile than 9 teams. So it's not the maths, but it's the probability of that is so hard from this particular stage. But no, I don't think we can make it. Can we make top half? Potential. The next 4 or 5 games are really big for us. We've got Nottingham Forest. Actually, got you. How are you feeling about the Manchester derby on Sunday?
Well,
LB.
I didn't even realize it was this weekend until like 2 days ago. I was like, damn, that's come around quick. Yeah, I mean, if you do the double over us this year, given how bad you've been, that's actually embarrassing. So we need to win just to avoid the double, because that would be crazy. This is the worst you've ever been. That would be mad. So yeah, I don't know. We need to win. We need to win our next 2 games. You know, we got Leicester tomorrow at home.
No Haaland, no Rodri. Manchester City in trouble.
Yeah, no Haaland, no Rodri. And then we got Hughes at the weekend. So now we need back-to-back dubs, man. You know what I mean? We need back-to-back dubs, 6 points on the board. That'll probably get us in the top 4 with 7 games to go. You know what I mean? So yeah, we need it, man. We need it. We can't afford to be dropping points now.
You winning the FA Cup, LB?
I think we might, you know.
Yeah, I think you will as well.
I think we might. I don't think it's like guaranteed. Obviously, Forest are a good side, and we've got our injury issues and that, and we're still not great. But yeah, I think we will. I think someone said something to me the other day. Said Forest on that Wembley pitch as well. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we'll be able to get space. It's big pitch in it.
Can I ask you a question that I've never been able to ask a Man City fan ever in my life before? Would you rather take top 5 or an FA Cup win?
Oh, I'd rather win the FA Cup, 100%. Yeah,
fair play.
Personally, yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're in that position, though, aren't you? I think that you don't. Do you know? Actually, no. I disagree with you. I know it's a trophy in hand, but not being in the Champions League next year, you'll. I think you'll.
They'll just go win the Europa League title, and then that'll be another trophy.
They can be, but I think City next season have got a strong possibility of being good enough to win the Champions League. So if it was choosing between the two, I get the sort of notion of a trophy in hand is worth more than one in the bush, but the opportunity of being able to win the Champions League next year, which I think will be plausible for you, I wouldn't give up that chance for the FA Cup.
Yeah, nah. If it was like Liverpool or someone like yeah, maybe. But we've won it once, man. I can't be sitting here like arrogant, like we'll win the Champions League next year. Like we've won it once, mate. So nah, I'd rather win the FA Cup.
Do we actually think as well they'll definitely be back? Because when Pep first walked into Man City and he rebuilt it, it took him a couple of years, didn't it, to get to it took him a couple of years to go bang, bang, trophy. Maybe, just maybe, it might not be a quick Man City going to win the league next year.
Maybe.
You don't know.
I like FA Cup, man. And we're closing in on Arsenal, innit? On the trophy.
No, that's true. I would like.
We're about 4 behind them or something now, man. You know what I mean? So when we do that, you know, serious, uncomfortable conversations for Arsenal fans to be had.
Yeah, but you will be bigger than us if you do win more trophies. That's the only thing we've got ahead of you.
Yeah, and then plus on top of that, you've got 4 Peats, you've got trebles, you've got Champions Leagues. The weight of them is massive. But
Chelsea and City will. If they carry on, like Chelsea have stalled a bit, but if Chelsea and City carry on winning what they've done in the last 2 decades, then Arsenal will be behind them.
That's why
we're not yet. We're clinging on to it.
Well, that's why I'm still grateful that Man United in the last 12 years we've still been able to pick up, 2 FA Cups, 2 or 3 League Cups, a Europa League. We've still been able to add trophies to our haul, which is important, because you have like 12, 13 years that are barren with nothing. It's just everybody's catching and overtaking you. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing City have a couple of years where they're at this level. It'd be nice, just from a Premier League manager legacy debate, because Fergie never had 2 or 3 seasons at this level not competing for titles. So I would like that. And that's purely for
his first 5 years. He finished. He didn't win a title in his first 5 years, no?
Not in the Premier League year, he didn't. If we're talking because the debates. The debates that Pep's in, where people talk about Premier League greats. So you can't take the league that wasn't the Premier League.
Forget Fergie's first 5 years, yeah.
Well, no, but nobody's doing. When you look at those debates,
have you seen this shit? This is shameless, isn't it?
Hang on, no, wait. Right? I'm not being shameless, I promise. When you see these debates that have Pep and Fergie and Wenger, why don't we never see Cloughey's name, Paisley's name, Shankly's name, Busby's name? We don't see their names because they're not debating the pre-Premier League era. If we're talking pre-Premier League era, it's not a guarantee. The list changed. Like suddenly Wenger's not in the fucking top 5 or 6. If we're being honest about these things, because Busby, Shankly, Cloughey, Paisley, they're all above him in terms of what they've achieved as managers. So I'm talking, these debates are always about the Premier League era. Equally, though, if you want to include what Fergie had to do, I still put Fergie above Pep, because Pep didn't have to come in and take a team broken that had been barren for 30 years and rebuild them. So that 5 years it took Fergie to build a winning team, to rebuild a broken club from top to bottom, inside out. Show me where Pep's done that in his career. He hasn't. That for me is such a massive achievement.
You think Pep's better, LB, than Fergie?
Oh,
of course he does. Of course he does.
He's the best. I think the best manager of all time.
You think Pep is?
Yeah.
I got a claim for you. It's a bit of a cop out, but I've got a better claim for you. I think Pep is the greatest head coach of all time. I think Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time. I think they're different positions and roles. I don't think Pep could run and build a football club like Fergie did twice, by the way. Fergie did it at Aberdeen and Man United, and there's no evidence he could do it. So I think Pep as a coach is phenomenal. I'll never play down what he's done. As a manager, he's never built a club up. And I'm not having a dig at him for it. I've always said as well, what I'd love to see Pep do is leave City and take over, say, an AC Milan, someone of that level, maybe even a different club, maybe a club that's fallen even further from grace, build them up. They're broken. They're financially got holes. Their academy's fucked. The team hasn't won a league title in 20, 30 years. I'd love to see him take it over, build a team and squad, and money's included because Fergie spent money, but build it up over 2 or 3 years and then dominate that league. I would love to see him do that, because that is what Fergie did twice. And the harder achievement wasn't even Man United. What he did with Aberdeen was fucking...
that was mad.
Took a team that didn't do anything and undone the stranglehold in Scotland that's been back on ever since, and beat Real Madrid in the European Cup final. So for me, there is a difference between the old-fashioned manager and the modern-day head coach. They do different jobs. So I do think there's a distinction there. But what I'll never do, I won't stoop to the level of ever slagging Pep off. I'll never try and take away from his achievements. I won't call him a checkbook manager. I won't even say he's always had it easy because he's gone to some of the most powerful clubs in his country. The reason he's had those jobs and those powerful teams is because of how brilliant he is. I don't need to say bad things about Pep to praise Sir Alex. I just don't need to do it, because Sir Alex's CV speaks for itself.
You're both gonna stick up for your guys, and I'll do exactly the same, right? But I think Pep has changed football in terms of like European football. I'm not sure Sir Alex Ferguson did. However, what Sir Alex Ferguson did for the longevity of how he did it, I don't think will be matched. When you say change football, though, this is what's very difficult about the conversation. Sir Alex Ferguson was the man who started started removing alcohol and drinking culture from the game, and then Wenger gets a lot of credit for improving the diets, right? Yeah.
But Wenger would never have been able to have improved the diets if everybody was still getting pissed every week.
No, I get that, Tel, but my thinking for that is... Go on.
But what about rotation? Sir Alex Ferguson was the real first success story in the modern day era when it comes to the rotation of teams and squads. It's why the idea of winning the treble was always deemed, from when it was done earlier on in sort of the 60s and 70s, it's why it was deemed then, which was the modern day game, impossible to do, because you just couldn't compare. I mean, we see it now in so many. Look at Liverpool this season, how brilliant they've been. They rotated for a game against Plymouth and they got beat, as an example. The way he mastered the art of rotation to win 3 doubles, did the treble, did a Premier League, Champions League double, to do that as frequently as he did was just unheard of and always called out as practically impossible. So I think all of those things. Now, tactically, did he have a style of football that was sort of the tiki-taka way that Pep's spoken about? No, but Pep only, and I'm not taking away from Pep here, but Pep himself has said that all he did was do an adaptation of what Cruyff invented anyway. It wasn't as though the whole base of what Pep has taught on his football was a completely new invention. He took it to another level, but that's why I find that conversation hard. Not because it's about Fergie and Pep, but because you're taking away from the originators of the way Pep played football and who taught him. And I always feel like for instance, aeroplanes today are much better than the ones the Wright brothers invented. But the Wright brothers are the OGs because they invented aeroplanes. Cars now are so much more efficient than they used to be 50, 60 years ago. But I ain't having it that a car designer today is better than Henry Ford. Like the originator of so I do get your point, But for me, I think that's a Johan Cruyff deserve a lot more credit than
I would say this as well.
No,
Guardiola managed the best side of all time, Barcelona. That was the best.
Yeah, that was unreal.
That was the best football team of all time.
I will say though, and I think. Look, I think Sir Alex Ferguson's the best that I've seen in my era. I don't know about the previous managers, right? We're only looking at these two managers. I think both are ridiculously good, and they're clearly the top two, right? What I'll say about Pep is I didn't understand how goalkeepers could get involved as much as they are now, but Pep introduced that and everyone copied it. You then go through the tiki-taka style. I never knew what an inverted fullback was. I didn't really know what a false nine was. I didn't really know how you can drop people into midfield and then drop them back into here, there, and everywhere. He has done that, and everyone's then looked to replicate it. And people blame Pep for that. He didn't ask everyone to copy him. Do you know what I mean? They've copied him and done it badly, in my opinion, because there's the genius that knows what he's doing with that. With Sir Alex Ferguson, and why I write him slightly higher now, is I look at Rooney and Van Persie and I look at Foden and Haaland, and somehow Sir Alex Ferguson won a league with that. And Manchester City under Pep can't do that. He needs everything right. I think when you give the best team to those two managers, I think Pep might actually beat Fergie. That's how good. Like if everything's perfect, I think Pep's that good.
No,
I think Sir Alex Ferguson, when his tools become a bit more blunt, I think Fergie can get across the line. Whereas I think Pep's like, I need to start again. Give me another team. That's what I think. I
understand that, and that's why I just very much distinguished head coach and manager, because we have the proof that Fergie could build teams from scratch, clubs from scratch, not teams, clubs. There's no evidence to say that Pep can do that. But that's also why when you're looking at sort of the modern day game in England has changed. Clubs are not built by managers anymore. They're built like like our European counterparts, where you have sporting directors. They call them they're presidents, but essentially you have a team of people that run the club and then a head coach that manages the first team. So our football has changed in that way, for good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't really matter. But even the sweeper keeper thing you mentioned, like Manuel Neuer existed before people knew who Pep was as a manager, and he was doing it the whole time. And this is where I think an honest conversation has to take place. Nothing to do with Sir Alex and Pep, but there are things that are attributed to, like Pep. Yes, he did have that Barcelona team was one of the greatest club teams of all time. People putting it all on Pep. Barcelona play that style of football because it was introduced to them 20 years earlier. It is an amalgamation and the sort of standing upon the shoulders of giants each time, making it better and better and better and better. That's why I think when you're comparing, say, Pep to British managers like a Shankly or a Paisley or a Fergie, our football clubs weren't built in that way, where there was this sort of, we play a brand of football, and every coach we hire and every academy team, right through to the first team for generations, plays that way, and it just gets better and better and better each time. I actually like the fact that we're now doing that more as clubs, and I hope we continue to do it, because I think that's the reason why when you look through English football history, it's peaks and troughs of greatness. Liverpool 70s and 80s, United in the 90s, etc. And then it goes when the manager leaves, typically speaking. Liverpool maintained it for a little bit after Paisley because of their boot room theory, which was similar to that of their European counterparts. The only thing that stopped Ajax being as successful as they were is the money in the Eredivisie. They can't spend it on the players, but the way they're structured and the way they operate enables that adaptation each time. It enables them to stay at the top of their game in their own country. So that, again, I'm not taking away from the managers of Ajax and Pep Guardiola and any Barcelona manager as an example. I'm looking at the way those clubs are run and those clubs are structured, and I think that they also help. Doesn't mean Pep isn't brilliant, by the way. I think that's why I would like to hear people that obviously know more than I do as well have these conversations, because I often hear things like Pep invented the sweeper keeper. I mean, the sweeper keeper was a phrase that was born in one of the World Cups in the early 60s, I think 1962. So it was something that was being spoken about in the 60s. The idea that it started in 2008, it's not true. And I don't think, again, from a football historical perspective, we shouldn't be taking away credit from, like, I'll give you an example. Do you know who introduced sports science into English football? Legitimate sports science into English football. Unless you've heard it before, it's Sam Allardyce. Yeah. But he ain't credited for it. You get so many other managers like Wenger gets the stuff about the food, Fergie gets the alcohol stuff. This man brought in sports science, which is now used by every major football team in Europe. He was the first guy to bring it in. I just look at things like that and think it's important that originators get their credit as well. But what I will say, and look, you can say Pep changed the modern game, but Fergie changed the way things were done in the 80s and 90s. I saw him do it. Shankly changed things. Cloughy changed things. You can go right through football. you're only saying change the modern games. You're in the modern era. We can't ignore what happened in their modern eras as well. But to know this, you've got to read more and experience more. And this is we were talking about.
It's a good debate, though. I think it's a really good debate.
It's a great debate, and I hope what I've said, none of it comes across like I'm being disrespectful to Pep, because I don't want to be. That's not my view. I'll give you an example. We saw Stumpeg, who I think is brilliant, by the way, talk about Ronaldo. I just don't. She may have gone back and watched dozens and dozens, all of his games at Man United in that era. I don't know how you can judge someone that you didn't watch play. Equally, if you're our age, it's unless you. And I'm only going by what I've read, history books, etc. The idea that Bob Paisley didn't change the modern day game, especially Shankly, didn't change the modern day game. The idea that Sir Matt Busby didn't change. Do you want to know how influential Sir Matt Busby was? The FA and English teams scoffed at the idea of playing in European football. The FA wanted to ban Man United from playing European football. They didn't like the idea. No, let's not show the foreigners. Let's not show the Europeans how we play football. Let's not help them. Let's keep it to ourselves. They tried to ban Man United from playing in European football. But Sir Matt Busby persevered to make European football as significant as it is today. So if you're talking about influence of the modern day game, what we now know as the Champions League potentially wouldn't exist, especially for us as English sides, if Sir Matt Busby didn't do what he did. But unless you learn that history, you wouldn't realize that he changed the modern game. It's
like me trying to say that, Maradona is not actually as good as what people said. Well, I didn't watch Maradona, so I'm not going to tell people who tell me Maradona is the best thing ever that's lived that no, Messi is, because I've seen Messi and I haven't seen Maradona, so it must be Messi. Like you have to go back and watch Maradona for those 5-6 years, right? So yeah, that's where you've got to go. And look, the Ronaldo Salah thing is another debate.
I agree. And this is Terry, so football hasn't evolved. Yes, it has. But the idea that it only started to evolve when Pep came around, and Pep's the only manager that you can give credit to for evolving and changing the game is a ridiculous statement, because the game has continually evolved. The problem is, if you didn't live it, and if you haven't read the history books and the pundits on TV are as shit as we have today, you're not being told about this. Again, sweeper keepers were not invented by Pep Guardiola's Barcelona team. They were just not. Yeah, equally, when the Ronaldo Salah debate happened, Ronaldo was one of the first players to change that right-sided winger role. The way he used to come in at the far post, the way he got himself into positions to score more goals. This was something that was well documented at the time. So yes, Mohamed Salah is at an amazing level and he's killing it. But again, I can't take away from originators. What we saw Thierry Henry do from that left-hand side, I felt was innovative in the English game when he came in. Kind of a left winger that during the game, we'd probably call it inverting now, molded himself into striker roles. We didn't see that on a regular, not in my lifetime. No one was doing that from the left-hand side. So again, that was Henry with the coaching of Wenger. So the idea that football hasn't evolved regularly is crazy to me. And again, that's taking nothing away from Pep. It's just scoffing at the idea that other people didn't also evolve football. I think it's a crazy notion. And it gets said a lot on radio and TV, and the pros on there sit there going, yeah. I think you're fucking idiots. You lived and played in those times where it evolved prior to 2025, and you don't say anything. It's very strange to me. I'm not a fan of it, really. But I have Pep up there as one of the greatest of all time. Never take that away from him. Fergie changed the Premier League. Pep has changed world football. Again, you'd have to break that down.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was getting at, really. But
Pep has year 6 fullbacks inverting. He is the GOAT. What does year 6 fullbacks mean? I don't know what that means.
I think it means like a crap player or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what he means by that. That's a bit harsh.
Well, Fergie was inverted against Arsenal once. Rafael da Silva and Fabio da Silva in midfield when we had 16 injuries. Played them in midfield in a game against Arsenal and beat them. They scored in the game. So again, I'm just putting it out there. It's not a modern day thing to invert a fullback. I'm just saying it's been done before. He's saying everyone is copying Pep, even the school teams. Right? Okay. That's what you mean.
That's true. Football now. When I was playing football as a kid, it was lump the ball up the pitch. Guarantee that's not happening nowadays.
No, I mean playing out from the back happens. But when did St George's Park get built?
Probably after Spain won the Euros, isn't it? Because that's when
it was in those 2012. I mean, but when they were planning that, it was all about wanting to introduce better ball playing from out the back. And listen, Pep has been influential in football. I'm not taking it away from him whatsoever. But I just think this, again, you also get people claiming now that football's lost its soul, its flair. It's not as good now as it used to be. This is the irony in it. If football isn't as good now as it used to be because everyone's become mechanical and copied Pep, how are we praising him as the greatest ever for being influential if we also believe the standards are?
Because that's nothing to do with Pep. He's influenced the game. The coaches who he's not there on a Saturday morning, is he, coaching the under-7s? The problem is these coaches at early ages have gone too far the other way. I think they're coaching the players to play out from the back and be more technical, which is correct. But they're also coaching out skill and individuality. That's nothing to do with Pep. That's not Pep's problem.
But if the influence, again, I'm not blaming Pep personally. I'm just asking a question. But if Pep's influence has changed the way football's played so dramatically, it's where everybody is now coaching it. If that influence is having a negative effect on the game, how can it be an influence that makes him the GOAT? If we think, if by and large people think the overarching standard of football is dropped by copying his influence.
Because we're not speaking about that directly. What we're saying is Pep has influenced world football in a way that Sir Alex Ferguson never did. Then you want to say, well, why is but then he's not there coaching the young players, is he? That's nothing to do with him. He's just played the team and everyone's gone, that's amazing. We're going to copy him. That's as far as it goes. What then happens on a Saturday morning or at the football pitches and what happens in the academies, that's got nothing to do with Pep. Pep's not there coaching.
But it has got something to do with Pep if he's the influence that's changed football, that's made him want to do that.
No, all they're doing is taking his principles of how to play.
So he's influenced their principles. Their principles have changed. People like Dan think football's got worse.
I agree.
If football's got worse because people are copying the principles of Pep,
because they've took it too far.
How is Pep's influence made him the GOAT?
Because they're not Pep, and they're going too far on control, and they're coaching out individuality.
Again, I'm not blaming Pep. So his influence is actually bad for the game. Then is what we're saying.
Because people are not Pep. They're not Pep. People try and be Pep.
I get that, but his influence is bad for the game. Then people should stop being influenced by him. Is what we're saying.
I think what we're saying is Pep Guardiola is an incredibly powerful football man who's influenced world football and has influenced people to coach players and coach teams in a certain way. Unfortunately, they're not Pep.
And so his influence is bad, and they should not copy him. Is what we're saying.
So basically, he's so good and so powerful that people try and copy him, but they can't.
So his influence is bad. I agree.
Because they're not Pep. Because he's so good. There's not one person that can touch him. No one can touch him. Nobody can touch him. The only times, in the Premier League that we've not won the league is when we fell off. We fell off this year. We fell off when Liverpool won it in 2020. And obviously the first year we'll give him a pass. Because his first season. That's it. Whenever we go into a competition in the Premier League where we've competed, we've won. Because he's the GOAT.
Yeah. So I look at it this way. I'll rate someone higher whose influence has improved football by and large rather than made it worse.
He has improved football. He's improved football. Unfortunately, though, these coaches don't know. These coaches don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. It killed the game. I'm just joking.
He's managed two of the greatest teams of all time: City treble year and 2008 Barcelona. 2008 is that era of football. I don't think any of Fergie's teams will ever go down as one of the greatest teams in terms of how they played.
Treble 99 will.
I don't think the top 5.
Wow.
I don't think City's team goes into the top 5 greatest teams of all time.
Treble beating Bayern, absolutely smacking Bayern, absolutely smacking Real Madrid. I think they're definitely in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I put the first ever English team to do the treble in that space. The way the football we were playing in the 90s, the football we were playing in 2008, by the way, as well, was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was mad.
But the football then was absolutely crazy. You're absolutely right. But we're all both going to be biased on that one. I look at it this way as well. It's competitiveness. I appreciate what Barcelona's team did and how powerful they were. I also didn't enjoy their games too often because they were highly uncompetitive. So I think if you think about eras and games that were like, wow, remember that match between those two teams? You didn't get that a lot with Barca's sides. They were just so dominant. Some people, though, prefer that. And
that's because they were so good, though.
No, and again, but I understand it. But I'm talking about legacies are sometimes, if you think about boxing, right? Some of the greatest ever boxing fights are not that go down in history are not always between the best two boxers. It's fighters that were maybe a little bit closer in their overarching quality, and the fights were really competitive. And I think it's why the Man United Arsenal era was the best in the Premier League, because the teams were really played different styles, so they were opposing, there was a fire in the belly between the two rivalries and the managers and the fans. But there was also a closeness in how close the games were, how close the title races were on a consistent basis. And I think it makes that, if you think about that as a rivalry, the legends that are born out of that are massive. I'm not saying a team that dominates and wins easily are a terrible team, but I'm talking about how, look, and City fans are always going to put Pep's teams, whether they were at City or Barca, above Fergie teams, and Man United are going to do the same thing in reverse because we're biased in that way. But if from the outside looking in, I think people definitely view things differently.
Surely you don't have a United team above that Barcelona team.
No, I don't know. I don't think I do, because no, I don't.
That team was the greatest team I've ever seen.
That team was amazing, and I put it down there. I'm speaking objectively here rather than my own personal feelings, as I say. I think that beauty is often in the eye of the beholder, and I think it's a subjective conversation by and large around what you think the greatest ever side were. For instance, like the Real Madrid in the modern day era, the Real Madrid team that did a three-peat in the Champions League, that style of football is a bigger preference to me than how Barcelona played football.
Yeah, I mean that potentially, but you wouldn't say they were better than that Barcelona team, would you?
Again, but are we when you say better, what are we talking about? How they played football? Because again, that's subjective.
Just everything. I mean,
but it's not about
the Barcelona team wasn't just amazing; they were brilliant to watch.
So I understand what you're saying here, but again, what I'm saying to you is preferences. So the way that Real Madrid team played under Zidane. The way they played, and there was great football and great passages of play and possession, but I love the speed and directness they had at times, and that just stood out to me. So I think that I get your point, and again, I'm not going to say nothing negative about that Barcelona team as best I can. It's up there as one of the greatest, the same as that team is. The idea that Man United, that Fergie teams are not up there with some of the greatest, I disagree with that. I think we used to play absolutely brilliant football, personally. It's just not something that was ever overly attributed to Sir Alex. And I'm going to be intrigued over the next 5, 10, 20 years to see that in football again, which teams get attributed with. I think some teams just, it catches on. Oh, the football. Some, it's Fergie's thing was always about praising his management and how he managed his squads and his teams. I actually think there was a lot of disrespect towards the way his teams played football, and a lot of that is what the media tell us and the media focus and stuff like that. By the way, that's not saying Pep's Barca played shit football and it was overhyped. It was brilliant for a lot of people, and a lot of individuals enjoyed it. But I also feel like people often say, what's your style of football now? And what you realize they're saying is it got a nickname? It's not called tiki-taka, or it hasn't got a Gegenpress word in it. And people say, that's why you look at Klopp's football, because he had a word that was associated to it, Gegenpress. It was suddenly this easily identified style of football. And what they did is they pressed high, won the ball, turned it over and scored quickly, and were very, very direct. A lot of long balls in their team, but no one called them Sam Allardyce because they were knocking the ball into the channels, because it had a really sexy foreign word attached to it. And I think for fan bases, if you really enjoy the way your team plays and you're being successful, find a word quickly that can be associated to it, and suddenly everybody will remember your style of play. It's really important to do that. And Pep got that with the tiki-taka. Klopp got that with the Gegenpress side of things. The 70s Ajax team with total football. If you can get a word associated to what you do, it makes it more recognizable for people. If there isn't a word association, maybe not so much. But listen, all brilliant teams. Let us know your thoughts. Great debate in the comment section below. Yeah, someone mentioned Cole and York. Yeah, we should have done is just we should call the whole team Calypso Football, and it would have probably caught on a lot more. Tactically, he improved football. I think he's done a lot of great things for football, Pep. I absolutely agree with that on a real level. I hope Liverpool lose. The race is back on, because the Arsenal annual collapse came too early this year. Give them hope and then let them fall away again. I get why you think that. Speaking of Arsenal, very quickly, this was what was said yesterday by Arteta. Let's take a little listen.
Planned the 5 first summers, it was going to be very big, and they were going to have different objectives, because the turnaround of players and the objective of those windows were going to be different. But now when you're going to go again, first of all, we need to increase the depth on the squad, but as well you want to increase certain quality and skills that we need to now go to the next step. It is going to be a big one, and we are very excited about it.
Said it's going to be a very, very big summer for Arsenal. We've seen the links to Victor Gyokeres. How much trust you have in this, Potsy, that it will be a big summer, 3 or 4 big signings, lots of money being spent? Would he say this and then it not happen? Or with Berta coming in, is there growing confidence amongst Arsenal fans that it's going to be a giant summer?
The latter, I'm massively reassured and confident with. I like Andrea Berta's appointment. The start of it, Arteta says it's going to happen. Unfortunately, Mikel Arteta likes to tell a few lies because in January he said we were going to be signing players because we're really short up top. It's quite obvious what we need. Nothing happens. So he doesn't always act upon what he said. This guy said we were going to win the Champions League 3 years ago, right? So, or 2 years ago, I think it was now. So we have to be looking at, what he says and what happens as 2 different things. However, I don't see how he can't have a big summer. I just don't see how he can't have a big summer. The players that we need in those positions, personally, are so blatantly obvious as to what we need to do. It's so clear. And the players that we're linked with are not cheap. So if you want to chuck in Isak, you can say that's a lot of money. But Gyokeres isn't 25 mil. Yeah. Nico Williams has a release clause and it's not 15 million pounds. Zubamendi's got a release clause, but it's not 20 million. That's going to set you back by a few £100 million already just on those 3 players if they're the 3 that you genuinely want. Yeah. So I do think it's going to be a big summer. I don't know how much we're going to spend, but I imagine we'll probably spend at the bare minimum of 200 million pounds plus. And that's still might be enough to get us the 4 or 5 players that we need, because that is what we need. Arsenal fans that say we just need a winger and a striker, wake up, man, because there's a lot of players that are leaving. Now, some of the players that are leaving Arsenal in the summer are going to be natural wastage, not wanted anymore, or coming to the end of their contracts. Yeah. For example, Partey, Jorginho, and Tierney are all coming to the end of their contracts. You've got the likes of Jesus and Trossard and Tomiyasu that are all on 1 year that either need to be sold or that need to be sort of sorted out. You've got the likes of Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson, Marquinhos, Lokonga, Tavares. They all need to be given new clubs. So Zinchenko, Kivior, maybe Trossard, some of the others that we're looking at now, thinking they could all be leaving the football club, which is 10, 11 players. Now, some people will go, yeah, but half of them didn't play. Yeah, but they're still part of the club. We still can't just say, oh, they're not part of the club, don't count. They do count. They're on the books. So we've got to get them gone out off the wage bill. And I do think that there's excitement in the fan base about what we do next. I think we're all expecting to see a striker. I think we're all expecting to see not just one forward, maybe a wide forward as well. I think we're expecting to see a creative midfielder. And people can shout names, Florian Wirtz and all that. I think it looks like he might be on his way to Manchester City. I don't know what LB's heard. Obviously, Cunha's been linked with Arsenal before in that position. Lookman and Mitoma and Williams are all being linked with kind of left winger type options. And then up top, Victor Gyokeres is the guy that Berta apparently admires. Zubamendi has been linked with a move for Arsenal from Ornstein and Sami Mokbel, who people see as reliable journalists for the summer. So if we're bringing those sort of names in, I don't see why Arsenal fans shouldn't be excited. But what I will say is they got to be holding the shirt. Yeah, because we could be linked with absolutely everybody, but until they actually come to the club, you're not going to get fully down and excited with it. There's links to Joan Garcia as a backup goalkeeper from Espanyol. From what I hear, Gunnar watches a lot more La Liga than I do. He thinks he's actually a really good goalkeeper. I don't know enough about him. So he could be the backup goalkeeper. We're probably going to have to look at another defender again, which people won't like to hear. But the amount that we're potentially losing, we could be losing 3 or 4. We're going to have to bring at least 1 in. And then you look at the midfield, which I think needs surgery. And certainly in the front 3, it does. Neto and Sterling are 2 more players that are going to be leaving because their loans have come to an end. So, yeah, Arsenal right now, there's serious surgery. And if I'm honest, with the right signings and Berta coming alongside, I've got to have faith in him. I haven't really got the faith in Mikel Arteta because if I'm honest with you, 31 players he's brought in, there's probably 7 or 8 that I really rate. The rest of them are massive question marks or been flops. So with Andrea Berta, although he's definitely going to get misses as well, because you're going to have to try these signings out and try and find gems, I've got more faith in him. So I'm excited for the summer quietly, but I'm not getting too excited because I know what this ownership's like. So I've got to see it before I properly believe it, if you get me.
Yeah, listen, I agree with Potsy, man. Like, this is all well and good, innit? But ultimately, didn't Edu say be excited or something last time there was in a transfer window and they signed?
Well, Josh Kroenke said, yeah.
Sterling on loan, innit? So
sorry, that was different, yeah.
Let's see what happens, innit? At the end of the day, Arsenal need a good 5 or 6 players. They're rebuilding the squad. rebuilding, certain areas of that squad, which is kind of mad when you don't win anything. But yeah, they need to spend quite a bit of dough. They only spent 70 in the summer. They spent nothing in January, so the money should be there. But they need a left winger, they need a striker, they need a backup right winger, they need another 10, in my opinion. They need another 6 if Partey's going. And yeah, that goalkeeper situation. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do, but there's no excuses, man. There's no excuses for Arsenal. They've got the cash. They're a big club, as they love to tell us. So there's no excuse for not getting that done. But if they don't win anything next year and they don't sack him, then they should be removed from the top 6. You agree? The big 6? You agree that they should be removed from that with Spurs?
I personally can't stand the term Big 6 anyway, because how Tottenham can be in the same level as Man United.
Well, I agree.
Liverpool,
they should be out.
It's crazy. But I don't know. You can remove us from anything. I wouldn't really care if you moved us from anything like that, to be honest. But what I will say is the club's not serious in winning. Because if we don't win trophies and you keep the manager that doesn't win trophies, then I don't care. You can call us whatever you want. You're not going to get any fight back from me. It's a disgrace. So
yeah,
I
think
you're
going to start protesting then if you don't start, because you said
100%.
If you get to September the 1st and you've signed 2 or 3 players like Marino, Calafiori, like you did last summer, are you going to be there outside the stadium protesting like you're telling Liverpool fans to do?
100%. 100%.
Right.
But I won't be joined. But I won't be joined by a majority of the fan base, because look at them in the chat.
Right,
look
so
at
you'll
this,
be there, even if you're there.
They're all loving it, mate. They love it. It's just a journey for them. It's just part of the process. So
Okay.
I will be there with Turkish, and I'll be there with Curtis, and I'll be there with Northside, and I'll be there with the guys that want to come, Kenny, etc. But we will only be the minority, mate, because the majority of the fan base at Arsenal are loving what's happening. They're second now. We're not 8th anymore, because they only been supporting the club for 5 years. Yeah, because they've only been seen Arteta as the manager. They think this is beautiful. This is absolutely glorious what we're seeing at the Emirates. It's not, man. So look, man, together as a fan base, we've got to unite if that doesn't happen. But that's a story for then, man. Let's see what happens this summer, innit? Let's see what happens next season, because he's staying. There's no point me saying get him out, get him gone, because he ain't going anywhere. He's staying. He's staying, yeah. And unfortunately, yeah, there's we've got to be looking at it. And
he's got the keys to the club. He's never leaving, mate.
Well, Andrea Berta needs to have a powerful voice, bruv. That's what needs to happen.
Do you honestly believe that if he finishes second next year and doesn't win another trophy, he'd leave?
I don't think he would leave. He'd have to be removed.
Do you think he'd be removed?
Yeah,
no.
Because I think the owners will be happy with top 4 again, bruv.
Exactly. So he's there forever, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I think he's here for a long time. Look, I think he'll win a trophy at Arsenal. I don't know what that trophy will be. I don't know if it's going to be, potentially
the Emirates Cup.
Let's hope not, man. I think he'll win a trophy. I just don't know if it will be the major that everyone wants. I hope I'm wrong, bro. I've been trying to tell people that I hope I'm wrong. 5 years, I haven't been wrong that he's not been able to lift something with his team yet. And I hope I'm going to be wrong that we win a Premier League title. I just don't think he's the guy to get us across the line. And I'm hoping that the owners look at Berta and think, right, you're the start. We'll work alongside you. If you can't help him, we've got to get a Diego Simeone or a Simone Inzaghi in that can work alongside Berta to win Arsenal trophies. That's why I hope this is the first step off. If, of course, Arteta can't do it. Because he could still. Next season, we could win the league. If Man City don't put their act together, Liverpool could still win the Champions League this year. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
You're still in that Champions League. I don't think you'll win it, but you're still there. You know, you beat Real Madrid. The best team in the competition has been knocked out. You'll be top 3 teams left in the tournament, won't you?
If we beat Real Madrid, we've got to get to the final against Barca, because I think that's who gets.
Who would you have in the semi-final?
PSG or Villa?
Yeah, you'd have to get to the final. If you beat Real Madrid and then got knocked out of Villa or PSG, then that's L. Although PSG are pretty sick, and so Villa, to be fair, but still, you know, you talk about the second best team.
We should be beating them. If we're beating Real Madrid, we should be beating them. So.
Question: if Arsenal were not expected to beat Real Madrid, they were predicted to not make the top 8 in the Champions League. They did. They were predicted to not get past the round of Arsenal, as the media dubbed it. If they then get past Real Madrid, the favourites to win the tournament, and get to the semi-finals, they've already superseded expectations. How would it then be an L to then not go on to win it when they've already exceeded everybody's
expectations? Because then if you get knocked out then off Aston Villa, who are worse than Arsenal, and PSG, who I think would be, you know, leaders of France compared to second place England.
But PSG beat you who have got more European pedigree and everything else. They knocked out Liverpool that are top of the English Premier League as an example and have improved massively. Most of our, and I'm only playing devil's advocate here, most of Arteta's detractors that are Arsenal fans will all tell you Unai Emery is a better and more successful manager. So again, that for me feels like goalposts being moved. A team that's knocked out the current English champions with a manager, by the way, with more pedigree than Arteta, and an Aston Villa team with a manager who is a powerhouse in European knockout football, who Arteta outers all say is better than Arteta. How is it a massive L to
okay, so
they get beat by him? I feel like that's talking out of both sides of their mouths.
Okay, so if they got beat off Aston Villa, and you're putting that down purely due to the fact that Emery is a better coach than Arteta, that proves that Arteta needs to be fired, no?
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with that. The point I'm making, you're already saying an L for me is normally reserved for instance, if Arsenal get beat by Fulham tonight, it's an L because Arsenal are the favourites, they're meant to win. But I don't see how in one breath we can say Liverpool are better, PSG are better, Unai Emery is better, their manager's better, this is better, that's better. Then Arsenal lose to them and it's still the L on top. Now, you could argue it's an L for any Arsenal fan, say like a Gal that says, we're going to win this now, we're going to go on to do it. I get it. But I feel like when it comes to Arteta, his detractors 1 minute are saying he's shit and all these other teams and managers are better. But then if he loses to those teams, it's this big disappointment and L.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm saying Arsenal are better than Paris and Villa. That's the point I'm making. I'm saying Arsenal are better than PSG, in my opinion. And they are better than Aston Villa. Certainly better than Aston Villa. PSG
I think Unai Emery and Luis Enrique are better managers than Mikel Arteta. But Arsenal have got a better team, in my opinion, than both Villa and PSG. In my opinion, some people.
I think Paris actually have got a solid
Paris Saint-Germain are fucking
good,
but
Villa definitely.
Yeah, they have. They've got a great side. But what I'm getting at is, I mean, we've beaten them 2-0. Yeah, there was the wrong side. Well, it wasn't. It was that team, and it was Luis Enrique in charge. Yeah, they might not be as good as they are now, but it was still we still beat them quite convincingly and quite comfortably, right? So I think that we should be beating PSG and Aston Villa. If we don't, I'm not going to go, well, obviously we're not going to beat PSG or Aston Villa. They got Unai Emery and Luis Enrique, because then Arsenal are 5 years into a project of a manager that still can't beat Enrique or Emery. So where are we going? So we've got to be realistic.
The reason why I say what I say is this. And it's not so much at you. It's just, again, the analysis of some... Like, I read an article today about Martin Lewis Skelly, where they're literally talking about one of his biggest attributes is how he hands people off when he dribbles, like Jonah Lomu. And I'm sitting there like, this fucking analysis is fucking weird. I've never heard anything like it in my life. But you'll get... Like, Yardman would be a great person to ask this question to. He thinks Unai Emery is clear. So if Arteta beats him, does it at least just end that fucking debate? Or does it continue on? Like, I just would like to know. I'd like people to give an opinion ahead of time on that rather than kicking the can down the street, personally. This here from Spencer, he says, Arsenal's season is a write-off due to injuries. No, it isn't. They're still in the Champions League.
Well, hang on a minute. What are you talking about here? What are you talking about? What injuries you got? Saka's back now.
We've only got Havertz and Jesus out. That's literally it.
So Havertz and Jesus are injured and the season's over.
And Tomiyasu, yeah.
Tomiyasu, yeah. What are we doing here?
Come on, I think this is sarcasm, to be honest. I think it's sarcasm.
I think it must be.
We beat PSG with the same back line against Liverpool. PSG, the thing is, PSG have just improved this season. And that's why when Liverpool fans were writing them off, ironically, just because Arsenal beat them, they can't be that good. People didn't watch PSG. It's improvement that started around November.
Clinical, they'll beat Villa. If PSG are clinical, they'll beat Villa because they create unbelievable amounts of chances. The problem is PSG aren't always clinical.
That's true.
That is what I would say.
What I would say about Arsenal's biggest hope in this whole tournament is defensively, you've been better than probably everybody barring Inter in this season's Champions League. If you can maintain that, and you're hard, again, knockout football, if you don't concede goals, you've got a very good chance of going through. Very good chance of going through if you're not conceding goals. Dan, you're lying. Oh, Tony says you're lying. Majority of Arsenal fans want to win. You see fans that are obsessed with Arteta and assume that's the majority. The reason why there is so much noise at the moment is because we haven't won.
Look, there is a definite section of the fan base that are definitely had enough of Arteta. There's those extremes that are like, get him out. There's those that are saying he's massively under pressure. There's those in the middle that are a little bit more like, I don't really see anyone at the moment that can go and get us across the line. I'm not saying any of these opinions are right or wrong, by the way. I have my own opinions of it, right? And then you have the ones that are like, nah, look at where we've come. It's fantastic. Whatever side of the fence you fit in is absolutely fine by me. But don't have a go at the people that are saying, I want to actually go and get someone in that can win. That's what I will say. Because whenever I say, Mikel Arteta, I just think that we might actually have taken us too far. We might need some. Who are you going to get? That's all they say. Who are you going to get then? Well, okay, Kai Havertz, do you think he's good enough? No. Who are you going to get? Who are you going to get? And they'll give you a whole list of strikers that we can go and get. But when I give a whole list of managers that we can go and get, it's not right. Go get Ancelotti. He's washed. Look at what he did at Everton. You can't go and get Simone Inzaghi. He's from Inter Milan. Why would he leave Inter Milan? You can't go get Xabi Alonso. He's happy over in Germany. You can't go and get Diego Simeone. He's failing at Atletico Madrid. He's washed. Okay, keep Arteta then. Keep Arteta. It doesn't bother me. I would say keep Arteta if you said to me, I'd rather go and get Graham Potter, or I want to go and get De Zerbi, or I go and get Thomas Frank or Iriola. I'd just say just keep Mikel Arteta. As much as I rate those managers, I don't think they've got any evidence whatsoever they can do better than Mikel Arteta with this Arsenal side. They've got no evidence. Iriola looks like a brilliant coach. In fact, he looks fantastic with Bournemouth. But is he going to come and take this Arsenal side and get us across the line? You've got to look at it now and go, it has to be someone of a proven CV that's better than Mikel Arteta if you're going to replace him. That's the way I see it.
I agree with that. He says it wasn't sarcasm, missed key players most of the season. Well, then I agree with LB. You've got those players back now. Real Madrid's a tough game, but I don't think your season's a write-off right now. Arsenal, clip me up, KJ. Arsenal could win the Champions League. If they defend well, if they keep their opponents out, with Saka returning to full, if and when Saka returns to full fitness, Martinelli is back, there is a chance they do it. I have seen worse teams on this Arsenal side win the Champions League. And what I will say is there's no team remaining in the Champions League who I look at as an outstanding team that is impossible to beat. I don't think there's anyone left in the tournament, barring Real Madrid, you could argue because of their pedigree and what they've done. But if you get past them, no one left in it is unbeatable for Arsenal. It's going to come down to clinicalness, quality defending, and mentality. Are you the favourites? No, but your season isn't written off. I think the attitude of the season's over already. I don't think that's right, personally.
No, you can't be going into this Real Madrid game with this inverted chest, Spence. You got to get your chest out, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you're Arsenal, innit? You know, the biggest clubs in the world football, yeah? And you've got, what, Jesus and Havertz injured. Yes, it's going to be tricky. Of course it's going to be tricky. You're playing Real Madrid, man. But if you're going into that game with a defeatist attitude, you'll get smacked up. You got to go into that game and make it work.
This is what I love, right? I'm saying Arsenal can't be going into this with that attitude you're mentioning, right? It's okay, we had injuries. I'm saying, no, you could win it. So you've got to go in and try to win it. Stop it, Terry. Stop it, Terry. They can't win it. This is what I meant by the duplicity. Then they'll go out and everyone will say, what a fucking hell. But you're already saying they're out because they can't win it.
Yeah, that is one thing that's true. If we go out, no one can go, oh my God, Arsenal are disgrace.
It's infuriating. Do you know the biggest thing is that's not how you banter. If you want to banter someone, you've at least got to build them up first before you knock them down. You can't say you're shit and you're going out and then they go out and you go, ha ha ha, none of us saw that coming. Come on, do banter properly. And I've got a
minute, yeah. I reserve my right, to say that Arsenal needs to get their chest out and believe that they can win it because that's facts. Otherwise, what's the point in even playing the game? But when they eventually do get beat off Real Madrid, I will be bantering Arsenal fans. I can do both.
Yeah, but that's for me though. You can do both. I'm not saying people can't. I think that's like that. What I mean by that is this. I feel if you're going to say hold that L, you can only really be saying that to Arsenal fans that are like, we're going through and we're winning. Or if the belief is that you're going to win, you can't write a team off and say you're shit in Europe. There's no way you're winning the Champions League. There's no way you're going to do anything against Real Madrid. They get beat 2-1 over 2 legs. And then it's like, wow, you a shit. That for me is awful banter because it's just.
Yeah, but at the same time, Dan Potts is my mate, isn't it? Yeah. So I know Potsy thinks he's going out against Real Madrid. You think I'm not going to be bantering Potsy if he goes out against Real Madrid because he's sitting and thinks they're going out?
But he's your mate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fine. I don't get
so
when
we do just straight facts, after Real Madrid get knocked out Potsy, yeah, I'm going to come on here and you're going to join me and we're going to cook him.
No, and we will. But
I'll
I'm
just
also
say that
saying
Manchester City went out
I
to Real
would
Madrid
cook
and I was
him.
very kind about LB.
I will cook him because I believe they've got a chance to win.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't do, because I just don't do it, so it's me. I think it's shit banter to write a team off and say they've got no chance and then cook them then when they also lose. That for me is strange because it does. Yeah. For me personally, it doesn't hit right. Like it just doesn't hit correct. Like Spurs banter, most of the time it doesn't. It's just like because we all expect them to lose anyway, so it doesn't really. You know what I mean? It doesn't work. I feel like there's got to be an element of building them up. There's got to be a chance of you going through. We've got to see Arsenal fans think they've got a chance, believe they've got a chance. Maybe they get a bit excited in the games, go 1-0 up. Then it's funny. I just think. I don't know. It's like laughing at a child.
Anyone that's saying they've not got no chance, man. Of course they've got a chance. It's 11v11. They might not have a big chance. I'd give them a 10% chance. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I think Arsenal, have got a 10% chance of going through against Real Madrid. So they play the game 10 times. Yeah, they play the tie 10 times. I think they win one of them out of 10. Yeah. Now I'm not trying to disrespect Arsenal there. I genuinely think that's good odds, man. 1 out of 10. Real Madrid, this is Real Madrid. They got 15 UCLs, mate. Arsenal got none in it. Yeah, I mean, like they're a very good side. I think Arsenal, if everything goes right for them, all the players turn up on the day, I think they could do it. But I give them a very small chance.
I hear that.
Pots still getting cooked. And so the Arsenal fans in the chat.
And fair play, mate. Fair play to you. I think, but I've got to get through these super chats. I think Berta might have a say on the next manager. Well, he should have. If they do it right, he should have. Terry being diabolical, maybe. I just think, and I'm talking more to my audience here. Like, trust me. Marinade before you cook is all I'm saying. Marinade before you cook is what my suggestion is. So much disrespect to PSG. Watch other leagues and high chance second year in a row. No English team in the Champions League last 4 and Serie A got top 5 last season. Chill. I don't think anyone's written them off here. Tony has said, I think most are a combination. Happy with the progress so far. If Arteta can't get us there, then it's time to move on. Happy with progress, not happy with the results. The club over any player or manager. I think you're spot on there, Tony. Arsenal crumble every time. Arteta's maxed out. Bring Unai Emery back to replace Arteta. Okay.
Would you do that? Yes or no? Would you do that?
No.
I don't think you know the gooners that say he's better. I bet if Arsenal announced that today, those same fans would do their fucking nuts. They might hide it for a few days on camera. They would do their fucking bollocks over it. They go mad. Arteta won an FA Cup with the same squad the great Unai Emery couldn't win anything with. Great point. We've done it. A little bit of in the know. Arsenal are usually telling everyone we have money and are going to spend is a response to ND. Who's ND? Management from lobbied by Madrid for Saliba to not sign a contract. What clubs tell everyone?
He's saying we're trying to tell people we've got loads of money so that Saliba can then get excited about, oh wow, our future's brilliant. I think that's what he's trying to mean.
They can just tell him that privately though, can't they? They don't have to do a press conference. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Though Garcia 25 million, Hato 35, Zubamendi 50 million, Williams or Lookman for 50. Gyokeres 75. Gyokeres' buyout clause is 60 to 70 million euros. He's going to cost around 50 million pound. He ain't that expensive. Due to that, we can win the league. Listen, if you had a summer like that,
yeah, that's a great summer.
You could be the favourites come start of the season, depending on who City buy, depending on what happens in Liverpool. You're definitely going to be in the top 2 favourites with a summer like that. No doubt about it. When did Mikel say he would win the Champions League? I swear he said that really early on in his reign.
Yeah,
he said 3 years' time we're winning it. He did say
3
that.
years, Willian.
I think he was like, Willian, we're winning it in 3 years. I think he did say that, to be fair.
2021 it should have been.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. Always a pleasure. This is going to redirect you to Dan Potsy's channel, so go and support him over there, everyone. LB, always a pleasure to sit and speak football with you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless everybody. And we'll see you all again I'm just checking the redirect's done as well. It is done. So get yourselves across there, people, and we'll see you all soon.